Welcome back to Wednesday's Words of Worship. I'm Kevin. I'm the worship pastor here at Mount Pleasant United Methodist Church. We're continuing today on our Words of Worship and the insights that we've gleaned from the book Holy Roar by Darren Whitehead and Chris Tomlin. Our worship word today is Towdah. Towdah is an expression of praise in the Old Testament. Towdah is derived from the word yada, which was the first word of praise that we discussed. It has its root meaning in to revere and worship with uplifted hands. Now, in both yada and Towdah, we see that worship is closely related to a physical action, raising the hands. Towdah is similar in that it too involves reaching upward or lifting hands, but it's used in conjunction with an offering and with extended hands in adoration. It includes confession, sacrifice, thanksgiving, offering, or a combination of all of these things. Let them sacrifice the sacrifice of thanksgiving, Towdah, and declare his works with rejoicing. That's Psalm 107:22. I will offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, Towdah, and will call upon the name of the Lord. That's Psalm 116:17. Towdah carries a meaning of extending hands in faith, adoration, and thanksgiving. And this creates a picture of our hands raised in a receiving posture, reaching out in trust and surrender as we look up to God, acknowledging him as our source. Thanksgiving starts with us remembering what God has done. And it goes on to thank God for what he will do, which is a confession of our faith. We are thanking him for giving us his word or his promise. And on the basis of his promise, we thank him for the answers even before they come. Now, this is a sacrifice of praise, the thanksgiving that we read about. In Psalm 50:23, it says, whoever offers the sacrifice of thanksgiving, Towdah, honors me. And to the blameless, I will show my salvation. Now, Towdah is a Hebrew word that reminds us that thanksgiving is an offering pleasing to God. Most Christians understand the Old Testament concept of a blood sacrifice or a blood offering for sin. But we're probably a little less familiar with the idea of an offering of thanksgiving. Now, thanksgiving is an offering to God, not because of sin, but because of our joy in God's provision and his care. In Hebrews 13:15, we're called to offer a sacrifice of praise. Now, a thank offering could be a financial sacrifice, but in Hebrews, it's called the fruit of lips. In other words, our songs, our words of praise are considered a spiritual sacrifice or offering to God. Darren Whitehead simplified this concept of Towdah by stating that in Towdah, we lift our hands in the presence of God, not only for what he has done, but also for what we believe he will do. And with all the worry, the uncertainty, and the anxiety in the world today, let's remember to Towdah. Instead of focusing on the things that are out of our control, let's turn our attention to the one who is in control and worship. Let's Towdah God, believing that he will respond. And let's move from worrying to worship. Are you praying about your job, your marriage, an illness, or maybe someone in your family who doesn't know Christ? Let's raise our hands believing that God will give us the guidance, the direction, and the answers that we need. Let's Towdah God for the healing of our nation. I'll close with this timely quote by the late A.W. Tozer. Keep a Christian from entering the church sanctuary, and you've not in the least bit hindered their worship. We carry our sanctuary with us. We never leave it. So So when was the last time you raised your hands in praise, believing in faith that God will fulfill his promises to you? Remember, he loves you, and he loves to receive your praise. Thanks again for listening, and join me next week when our worship word is Barak.